Welcome again to our viewers here on Rush TV. We continue with our Carnival post-mortem, and we know Spice Mass has just ended, and after every Spice Mass we always like to go back and reflect on the challenges, the benefits, the advantages, etc., etc. And in our previous programs we had other Carnival stakeholders talking about Spice Mass 2015, which seems to have taken the buzz over many other years before. And in studio with us we have Bobby Steele, and he's no familiar person when it comes to Carnival and entertainment. And just to get right into it, Bobby, let me say thank you for being here with us today.
It's great to be in studio.
Okay. We want to look back at Spice Mass 2015, which is just a few days old. We want to take a look at the economics of it. Carnival, the economics. Would you say, is it there?
From an economical point of view, we are definitely heading in the right direction. You look at the share numbers, and you will see that, for instance, I believe that the arrivals were up this year over 2,000 extra arrivals in the period of 10 days, which is a lot. When you look at our airlift into the island, is quite tremendous improvement in terms of numbers. I know for a fact that there are two hoteliers in particular that I've dealt with recently, and both of them have seen a massive increase for this period of time as compared to previous years. So those things all go well. I think you look across the board, there were a number of new bands out on the road. Most promoters would have recorded very good numbers at in particular, say from the 31st of July until the end of until the middle of August, which is the end of the actual Carnival period. We did see a really good increase in numbers of attendance, patronage at the events. My problem is with it is that we can be fooled by numbers, right? And if we do not get the management side right, we can end up doing ourselves a lot more harm in the long run. It's been years of work put in by many people to market what is Spice Mass outside of Grenada. What we are seeing in here in particular is the influx of not the Grenadian crowd that comes back home for summer, which just happens to fall at Carnival time as well, which we see every year. But what you're actually seeing now coming into Grenada is the Carnival movement, which is people that actually go to different carnivals around the world because this is their idea, their enjoyment, their how to put it, their it's their business, right? And they move to the different carnival destinations around the world, and that goes back to what I've been talking about for a number of years, that Carnival must be seen as one carnival, just different destinations. If you try to break it into different carnivals, that's when you lose. That's when you're going to be out of the game. It is really and truly one carnival, different destinations, and each destination has to, in order to survive, provide the uniqueness of that destination, combine it with what works well of the Carnival product within their destination to keep the uniqueness and to keep it attractive on the market, because Carnival as a business is growing all around the world. So basically, what we need to do is to get the management side right, and unfortunately I must say that this has continuously been Grenada's biggest problem. And I think this year in reality signifies how deep a problem it is, because from somebody being involved in Carnival, the product, for 26 years, involved heavily in the marketing, in particular in Trinidad on my own with my own company for a number of years, responsible and partners in the ferry that comes to Grenada, for instance. I can tell you that this was the single worst ever year in terms of organization, in my point of view, in terms of the events, You had promoters calling to find out. I had a lady who had a Monday night mass ban on the road, for instance, that I was helping in Grenada here. And you're talking the week before Carnival, they did not even know where's the route. This is the office. They're directly responsible. I called back for myself because I couldn't believe it and couldn't get the answers. Right? Our mass band, which is 26 years of being involved in Grenada Carnival, we were across on the carnage because we were not informed by anybody that we had to be on the Melville Street on Monday to go towards the park. Right? And how sad is that for the product? That we are at that level. Right? Thank God, I must say, kudos to the police officers who allowed our band to be on the road, even though that road was not blocked off for mass. Right? They realized the situation, and they themselves, when I talked to the officer in particular who dealt with my band, he said that this confusion seemed to have been there, because there were another two bands on the road on this side of the carnage, on the carnage, that didn't have the information either. Right? You look at all the shows like Soca Monarch and so running until what, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is just pure bad management. Pure bad management, and there's no excuse for that. I believe in this. We can blame certain things. I've always said that we cannot just simply say SMC on its own is the problem, right? For instance, SMC is an organization that requires and relies heavily on subventions from the government and from sponsors in order to facilitate what they have to do. And if they are promised things in a budget and it's not delivered in a timely manner, it puts them behind the ball immediately, right? And a lot of the times, the people on the ground do not get to see this or know this. They will quickly just blame the SMC, expecting the SMC to be able to perform. So I do give them some leeway for the situations that they are allocated and that they have to perform under, right? Because those are problems in itself that we must fix. But at the same time, Keishan, it's a well-known fact that this year alone, SMC must have thrown away over $100,000 easily of resources, financial resources given to them, right? By putting on badly timed, badly organized events, right? You see, the SMC basically should get funding. That funding, a proper management team will then be able to take that funding and make it become the base for fundraising events to raise even more funds.
But then do you think SMC should be charged or use their office as a promotion to put on a show?
Well, you see, it depends on which angle you look at this from. Now, if you look at it from the angle of the financial situation of the country is what it is. We cannot take away that. If the funding is limited and in place, and in the funding itself cannot support really boosting the product, then what you need to do is to take that funding and find ways of multiplying that funding through proper conceived fundraising events that can actually multiply this money and make it sufficient to do the job that you're required to do, right? It is not the ideal situation. The ideal situation is the government of the day to understand utilizing the economics of the situation, utilizing what is the actual revenue that is derived from the product that is called Carnival. Now, studies have been done and says to the people of Grenada and the government of Grenada what is the value. And imagine that study was done a couple of years back, where the product was not at the level of what it is now. The value is even increased now automatically because of the extra patronage that's coming into the product, right? So when you look at it from a purely financial point of view, firstly, I believe the governments of the day, both the previous government and this government, have not yet come to the realization of what this product is, right? And the value of it. If they do, they are not treating it right.
And as a result, you think that's probably the SMC allow themselves to act what we would call desperate for cash.
Yes.
So you do something and hope that it will work.
Right. Rather than, but it comes on again to who is the SMC? Who is the SMC? What is the body? How do the people get selected on this? Remember, a lot of the times we might blame the office, and the office might not be the problem because the office is responsible to a board, right? The board might not be the problem because the board is responsible to a minister. Okay? So we need to get to how is the SMC set up? What is the real ability of the SMC to deliver what they are asked and mandated to do, right? And when we get into that, then we raise a whole bunch of other issues. Because, for instance, the GCF, right, which is the Grenada Cultural Foundation, by their mandate, they're responsible for all national festivals. Okay? Carnival is the biggest of our national festivals, but it is not mandated under the GCF. To me, we already started a problem right there. Then we could look at the Ministry of Culture and say, within the Ministry of Culture, we have invested heavily in training. We have sent people away to train in events management, loads of things as related to actual culture. But when it comes to the running of the cultural events, we are taking a board who, most of them have no basic fundamental training within the culture as such, and we're asking them to formulate and hire and put people in place that we're not utilizing the resources that we have paid and trained for. And this is where I have fundamental problems with. In my opinion, the whole structure is wrong from the beginning, and that is what is leading to most of the problems we are facing today, right? There should be one Department of Culture. One. If the ministry is responsible for, let's put it this way, what you want to say, programs, right? They will come up with programs and they deal with that. Be it the GCF, be it which I believe, and I might be biased to say that, I believe that all cultural activities should form under the GCF, right? And the GCF should be able to call upon the resources, and I'm not talking about financially, I'm talking about the capabilities of the individuals within the Department of Culture at any time with the resources that they have, the training, the things that we have already as a country, our taxpayers' money has already paid for. We should be able to call upon that at any time to deliver what is culture on our island, right? Should Carnival now as a product should be then treated through the GCF, which will have a year-round office. Carnival as a product will be a subcommittee of the GCF. The GCF will handpick individuals, not political appointees, not political positions or things. They will handpick people based on their expertise to deliver the product, right? And the GCF must be held responsible to make sure that that happens, right? As such, this is why you have a time limit on your board. Right? So if your board is not performing 2 years, you have another board inside. You put new people until you get it right. And if they are delivering, you allow them additional time to continue their mission. But what we have right now is, okay, so the last CEO of Spice Mass Corporation might have done a bad job. And I'm using this in a context, I want to make this very clear. I'm not talking about individuals. Okay. I'm just talking a scenario. The last individual of the Spice Mass Corporation, last CEO, might have done a horrible job. What do? We replace that individual. Have we fixed the problem? We have not fixed the problem. We've put another person inside there, but all of the reasons and all of the things that went wrong and all of the allegations of disappearance of monies, all of that just gets wiped right below the counter, and we start again for a new individual to be put in the same spot. Nothing is accountable. Right? And I'm saying this is where the problem lies. And if we do not fix this very quickly, right, we are going to face even more problems going down the line. Right? And you can see it. You as a foreigner arriving in Grenada, really and truly, this organization was massive this year. Right? But the Carnival product was successful, if you're looking at it from a financial point of view, by the sheer numbers that were here.
But would you say that the members of the SMC was a little bit complacent this year? In particular, a lot of people said they would have seen it after the whole issue with the Calypsonians and the intervention of the minister without involving the same SMC board,
right,
who is responsible. So they probably felt that, okay, if we're responsible for this and here you are intervening with us having to probably be involved, they thought that probably, well, let's just sit back and see what happens.
Well, I mean, again, this is what we're talking about here. Who is really the SMC? Is it the SMC or just people that are put out there, but really the decisions are being made somewhere else and they're just there as a face?
Shadow.
A shadow? You understand? We need to figure out what this is. Who's responsible? And if indeed, as the legislation might suggest it should be, right, it is an independent body, then how can the minister get involved to deal with directly with the Calypsonians without the body being involved? If they are mandated correctly to look at that issue, right? And I make no mistake, I'm not venturing an opinion based on any knowledge of the situation. I'm basing it simply on what you have just provided here, right? I want to say to you, however, that I believe wholeheartedly in my heart that the former Minister of Culture, the present Minister of Culture, and even the former Minister of Culture under the NDC government, in their heart is in the right place, right? And I'm speaking about Mr. Ali Gill, Mr. Alexander Otwin Noel, and presently Ms. Hood. All three of them, I believe their heart is in the right place to see the product go forward. The problem is in the how to put it, to get that heart to materialize with the actual product and the working aspect of it to deliver it. And I believe that the only way forward for us right now is to start from the top. Fix the problem from the top. Stop trying to just put a bandage on the problem. SMC is a failure. It has been a failure from the day one. It has never produced singly, since it has been formed, a single carnival that they can say this was a success story, right? It has been a failure, and it has been a failure from the legislation point of view, the operational point of view, right, and the personnel point of view, right? It has been a failure, right? I have loads of respect for the chairperson of the SMC right now. I've worked with her on numerous projects before, and I believe that she is a lady who has culture, a passion for culture. However, when we look at the organization of what is required, I do not believe that that job can get done by the present board. I do not believe they have a connection to what is actually required to fix it. And too many times in Grenada, we are not putting the people who can actually do the job into the job to do the job because of what they might perceive them to be politically or things. I am now for, let us put the people who have a clear background of success in what they do, right, into the positions that can bring success to this festival. That into positions that understand the management, understand bringing together the Calypsonians, the all the players, the Calypsonians, the mass players, the pan men, all of them have to come on board. But they must all also understand that egos have to be put aside, right? Pan men must understand you can want your event on a Saturday night. You can want it. It's great to want that. But is that the best timing for your event? To bring success to your event in the long run and to bring success to the festival on the whole. And that is what we have to see, because there have been many arguments, for instance, that Panorama can start during the day, right? And maybe start 2 o'clock in the evening and go into the night. Now, I am not suggesting that that is the answer, but I'm suggesting that we must put everything on a plate. We must look at it, put all the minds that are be into play, put the egos outside the door, and find the answers for each part. Right? Even for me, from a mass player, I can tell you point blank that as much as I like 2 days of Carnival for mass players, it is my firm belief that based on how Grenadian product is, that on Monday we should have Juve, we should have Monday night mass, and then Tuesday should become a whole day of pretty mass. meaning traditional mass first, pretty mass starting, go from an entire day, right? Because what we are doing to ourselves right now, by trying to have that third product in that daytime between Juve and Monday Night Mass, is hurting all wrong. We do not have the manpower, right, to be able to run all three of those things on the same day effectively and at its best capacity, right? And we hurt each one by doing what we are doing right now, and we need to fix it.
Yeah. Marketing and packaging, you would have touched a bit on it. Do you think we have lost it? Because we hear this year some people didn't even know when was Kiddies Carnival, for example.
Right.
There were no ads on the radio, there were no ads on the television, and it's probably one of the years where you never heard anything.
Yeah.
Not even a soca or a calypso ad. Do you think we have lost the marketing and packaging along the way?
Oh, for sure. I mean, and it again boils down to, okay, you might hear one side of the fence that says to you, okay, we can't call the radio stations and TV stations to put out the marketing because we have no money in our account. And we don't want to take the responsibility to have you as a media house coming back at me individually because I have not paid a bill from a previous year, or I'm not in present position to pay you now. So we've held back waiting on subventions to come in. Subventions have been delayed because of budgetary constraints of the government, and it all follows a pattern. But at the same time, I believe that if our organization is to be put in there and to be effective, it must understand the part of its mandate is proper PR. Proper PR. So you go in and you sit down and you know when your funding is supposed to come in. If your funding is not in at certain times to meet the certain requirements, you must open up and discuss this. You must let people understand what the situation is. Keeping it all quiet and think because you might think of some political backlash, you're not solving anything. You're not getting the mission done. And the bottom line is, look what happened. You have a SMC that is being blamed right now very heavily all around Grenada as the individuals of the SMC, right? And people have basically lost faith in SMC as an organization. Does it mean that those individuals in that particular organization are not capable people? We don't know. We don't know. I can tell you, in my personal opinion, I must judge them as not being capable because they did not deliver, right? And there's no excuse for no delivery. That is how I see things through my eyes. When I went to Trinidad in 2013 to market Grenada's Carnival, we went down as a joint mission between the government of Grenada and my company IMG Entertainment to market both the ferry coming from Trinidad to Grenada and the whole carnival for the government. The government of the day spent less than 1/7 of the cost of the product. My company spent the rest. We put on the entire launch. We had 240 something media houses and personnel and people directly involved, including 3 government ministers from Trinidad at the time. The launch was unbelievable. Unbelievable. When we came back to Grenada, there was a whole bunch of criticism of what we did because apparently some people here saw Blue Devil at the launch in a picture and said we went and market Blue Devils in Trinidad and not our Juve, which was a complete fabrication of the truth. The Trinidad Carnival people gave a presentation within our launch to show the unity of carnivals, right? So they showcased a little bit of the Blue Devil and what is their carnival within our launch to say the carnivals really and truly are one carnival and the unity there. All of the aspects that were our carnival were shown on big screens because we could not hire the personnel to take down on the budget we had. But we showcased everything that is Grenada's carnival at our expense. At our expense, right? We did it at the launch. Now, when I came back to Grenada, I said very clearly to everybody, I want the results of what we did. I'm not going to bring this up. I'm not going to individually argue with individuals. I'm going to let the results of the work we did speak for themselves. Okay? 2014 comes around. The GTA at the launch of Grenada's Carnival in the National Stadium gave a presentation where they said the increase in Trinidadians arriving to Carnival 2013 as compared to 2012 was 50% increase. Now, is this not success? Is this not success? This is what I say to people. That is success, right? Delivering a product. In that same launch, in that very same launch, I sat down at that launch and I saw unfolded the logo, right, of what we would be taking to Trinidad, a country that has been giving us unbelievably free media coverage to market our carnival over the last 5 years. And I'll come to that in a little while of the cost of that, the product itself of what they have done. But at that launch, they put out that I forget the name I want to use, but let's say for logo, for instance, they put out the theme. That's what I'm looking at. The theme for 2014 Spice Mass was going to be the Mecca of Soca and Calypso. Now tell me, we are going to take that theme and go to Trinidad asking for their assistance, utilizing the theme that Trinidad has been using for donkey's years as their theme? This would have been an embarrassment to us as a people. This has nothing to do with whether Bobby Steele thinks Grenada has better soca than Trinidad. This has nothing to do with whether or not Bobby thinks there's a better carnival than Trinidad. I can tell you this. I let my actions speak for my own self. I'm a person that used to go to Trinidad Carnival every single year. Without fail, I was in Trinidad. And I get a lot of great ideas from Trinidad Carnival. But I'm here in Grenada, and for the last 4 years, and in 10 years in total, I have been in Caracou, right? Either through sponsorship for 10 years, but in the last 4 years, there on the ground myself, building their carnival with them, right? When ministers, people who are carnival committee people, are in Trinidad, enjoying Trinidad Carnival, rather than right there in their own product. I am saying this to you because I have been there. I'm on the ground. I know it. Right? And I'm saying here lies a lot of our problems. Right? We don't know the person who came up with that theme. And I have had arguments with people on the SMC that believe that they should stick with that theme. But they have no idea of the economics involved. So let me bring you to the economics now. We have asked the media houses that we have worked with in the last 4 years that have been putting out articles on Grenada's carnival for us and marketing our island with us through friendships, through connections of, you're talking donkey's years because I went to school with some of these people in Trinidad. We have asked them to tally what it is would be the value in terms of advertising costs that they have provided to us in the last 4 years, right? We did that for this year to have it as a thing. You know what it was? 16.3 million TT dollars we have gotten from the Trinidad media for free. For free. That is what they almost gambled and threw away last year. Because guaranteed, if that went down to Trinidad, we would never be able to call on any of those media houses to give us any more free articles. They don't understand that. And that is why I'm saying to you and saying to the nation here, the rethinking of this whole process has to begin now. Right? You cannot treat the people that are helping build this in the manner they're being treated. You cannot continue to run a product and just be putting bandages every year. I see they put out all of this CV of what they want as a CEO. Right? You know the most important thing is required for a CEO of the Spice Mass Corporation? All of those big, and I'm not against degrees. I am not against degrees at all.
Yeah.
Right? Degrees are important. But what is really required is an understanding of the product. You could bring somebody in with all the degrees in the world, but if they don't have an understanding of that product, they will be destined to fail. Right? Because there is no time for them to fix it. 1 year is zero time. You have to start the ball rolling now. But if you have no background and understanding of the product, it's going to take you years to get there. And what happens in those period of years? Disaster, disaster, disaster. Right? Let's fix this a different way. Let's fix this first by getting the legislation thing. And I stand behind the Spice Mass Corporation as it is a complete failure. I put it out to the government of the day This was a trial thing. Disband it. Put this below a set arm, which I believe should be the GCF. Give them the right support that is required from early. Allow them to handpick the professionals that are required in terms of the subcommittee to deliver what is Spice Mass, right? And then we will have the product on the road. Then we will have it, right? And I guarantee you this is a work. Look, governments have tried and couldn't make it happen. Individuals went and made a ferry come from Trinidad to Grenada. Individuals. People who got up and said, this has been too long. Everybody is talking about it. We went and did it. They have, and I'm not trying to say I'm the person for the job or no. Don't get me wrong. I'm giving examples of people. You have people in Grenada here who have run massively successful promotions and big events, right, in Grenada. They understand the concept of what it is to put on a big event. They understand how it works, what is required for security levels. They understand the positioning of your security, everything, because this is their business. This is how they think. They are out there in Grenada. We have them here. Right? We have the capability of the film crews. We know what we need, what is their product to know. But we are letting politics, we letting individualism, right? So if I like you, Kishan, I go work with you. But if I don't like you and I'm a power position, yes, you ain't getting no work for me this year. This is the kind of stupid mentality that needs to be put behind. Kishan, if you're the right person, you and me could not get along. I could think that you are, whatever, I have my own personal opinion. But if you're the right person to deliver the product that I need delivered, you're going to get hired by me. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's about delivering that product. And that is where I have a massive problem with what is occurring for, 26 years. 26 years I've sat on the sideline. Success happening all around. We could all individually point. When you hear it, you can see, you know who are the people in Grenada that can make this work. Guess what? None of them are ever involved. None of them are ever given the opportunity. Right? I see an article written in the papers and somebody referring to me as a massive political supporter of NNP government. I hold no political card for any government. I support the policies of maybe this present government over the policies of the past government. I will speak my mind on that, right? But to put, if somebody from NDC, who's a supporter of NDC government, was a person capable of doing this job, right, and doing it proper, I am very sorry, that is the person to hire. What are we talking about in terms of, what you like politically is completely different to your capabilities to deliver a job, right? And that is what we need to fix now, right? Imagine, Kishan, mass is on the road, Tuesday. 3 o'clock in the evening, after my band being ready for 1 o'clock, the closest next band might have been ready at 2 o'clock. I cannot move my trucks because the road is blocked. They think we have to move last. Last year, right? The SMC, the same governing body that is here now, allowed us to go first, right? Because why? The spectators who are sitting down outside on the road since 12 o'clock waiting to see product, could see product at 1 o'clock in the evening. We went first. Every single other mass band was fine with it after Carnival that I know of, because we moved before most of them were even ready to move. We came off the route and we went around in the back of Tantine, allowing all of them to go across the carnage. We disturbed nobody's time. Everybody was a winner. This year, the exact same organization refused to allow us to go first. Tell me, how is that possible? Disorganization. Head personal thing, maybe this one don't like Bobby Steele, so here what, let them stay last, and who loses? The product of Grenada loses. I had 12 media houses from the Caribbean that we personally were responsible to have here in Grenada, not the government of the day, not the government of the day. We personally bought them in our company. They were all filming the product that is our Carnival at our expense. When you look at, you see the videos that we are putting out on marketing. For donkey's years, most Trinidadians would tell you that Bobby every single year when the government of Grenada had no money to spend to market the product. It is only at the first minister of culture that got involved in starting to market in Trinidad was Ali Gill under the NSC government. The first that I know of in all my times of dealing with Carnival. I actually went to Carnival one time where on Ash Wednesday in Trinidad, a team arrived from Grenada, paid for by taxpayers' money, arrived fully outfitted on Ash Wednesday in Trinidad, and they arrived to market Grenada's Carnival. Now you see, Kishan, I grew up in Trinidad. A lot of my time growing up in Trinidad was spent in the heart of Woodbrook, where most of the major mass bands today come from. Right? And I can tell you point blank, as most people with common sense or any Trinidadian link, if they had one single day that it would be the worst day to talk to a Trinidadian about Carnival, it's Ash Wednesday. Okay? But that is the kind of things that we have done in the past, throwing away monies. Big time. Right? And I'm saying we need now to start to say, you know what? Let us deal with the people who are showing the success rates. Do you know, Kishan, for instance, this year, my business partner and me are ready to say no to no more ferries. Because why? The support has not been there. Do you know that by the findings of the GTA, right? And this is research that they have paid for and done. So it's not Bobby just saying a figure. Do you know that the findings of the GTA says that every individual that arrives in Grenada at Carnival time and spends 1 week in Grenada spends on average 2,000 EC dollars, right? 1 week at Carnival time. We have been bringing a ferry with 300 people on it for the last 4 years each year. That, my friend, is $2.4 million into the GDP of Grenada, right? Into the economy. $2.4 million. Do you know that in that entire time, we have not yet received concessions of things that we have written for? My business partner, and I will put these facts out because they are facts that are easily proven. My business partner spends $360,000 to $400,000 TT dollars to put on a boat ride, right? If he sells out the entire boat and gives not a complimentary seat on the boat, he will make somewhere in the region of $30,000 to $40,000 TT dollars. Tell me what businessman you know in the world will do that investment.
That's true.
None. Zero. That is the reality. Right? He has continued to do it because of the promises that have been made, right, and not delivered to this date, from on this side and on from Trinidad side. As a matter of fact, we have gone even further. We have said that the concessions are not only going to be about him and getting a little bit more balance, the profit margin, but the concessions are geared at getting the price down even further so that the consumer, because we believe there are a lot more people in Trinidad that want to come to Grenada Carnival, but the airfares and the fares to come over are too expensive, right? So we have said that the concession is going to be put halfway. Because half is obviously to look after some of the expenses. And we're saying, we don't want physical money, you know. We don't want you, the government, to come and hand me no money. We want this support on both sides. Fuel in Trinidad is nothing. Why cannot the Trinidad side help with concessions on the fuel from government to government talking? Because the movement of people is something at CARICOM level, at OECS level, is something that everybody's preaching. So why should this ferry just be operated? Can you imagine a ferry that can run to St. Vincent Carnival from Trinidad? Go maybe St. Vincent Carnival, it will come from Trinidad, the boat will come from Trinidad to Grenada, on to St. Vincent, back to Trinidad, back to Grenada, back to Trinidad. Move people like that, same as Barbados saying. We can open up so much avenues with this support. But where is the support? Where is it? Let's have another meeting. Meetings happening 4 years. 4 years meetings have happened. It reached a point now when my business partner comes off here in Grenada and announces this is the last one for him. He has given up hope. I'm the one there convincing him, stay the course, and then we've got to do this, we can't. But it has reached that point And I'm saying it is sad, and it is sad all round, because I'm only giving you the surface of what this is. And that's why I came to this meeting today, and I really hope, I know when we do these interviews, it's tiny little clips that can get out there, right? And that's the sad part, because there's so much of a story that needs to be told. And the chances of it really getting out in its completion is very unlikely, you know. But I'm gonna, as a status course, I still make my time to come, because I believe in the product. I've gone out there as an ambassador of this product to the world, to most carnivals, to all over. I've been preaching from day one, and I will say it till the day I die, maybe. The single best carnival in the world, value for money in the world, is Grenada Spice Mass.
Well, before we close off, let me just tell you, we at Rush, we're not part of the 30-second crew, so you get your full length.
Okay.
And moving forward, as you say, 1 year is just not enough to fix it.
Yeah.
Or we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
If you were to be called upon, what do you suggest be that first thing that is fixed for 2016 that could see some level of improvement to what we had this year?
I again stand behind the absolute first thing that should be done is the dismantling of SMC. I believe that this carnival product should be put in the hands of the GCF. I believe that the expertise, the organization within the board, the office they're running, when you look at as a statutory body, what the improvements that have occurred within the GCF over the last, in particular, maybe 3-4 years, it justifies them getting the mandate for this. It justifies that mandate, but they must not just be handed it. They must be handed it with proper legislation to protect them, to manage it.
Is there any legislation at all?
Well, this is the problem. This is the problem. The legislation was obviously not a thought out process as put in. Right now, in reality, you have the Department of Culture, the Ministry of Culture, the GCF, Spice Mass Corporation, all of them pretty much linked into doing very similar jobs. Right? So is that not a waste of resources? Is that not a waste of time? Is that you understand what I'm saying? Let's get it all under one organization. Right? Leave the policies and programs to be written up by your ministry. That's what their purpose is for. Put the running of our cultural festivals under the GCF to manage. Give the GCF the legislation to protect them and allow them to do what they have to do, and support them through the funding. I guarantee you, if funding is provided to the GCF in order to manage the festivals, the capability within the GCF and the organizations of what we can draw upon, and the capability of the individuals to put it on correctly, I guarantee you in a very short space of time, we can deliver it by showing you how we can take minimal resources, turn them into proper fundraising events, raise more money sources, and deliver a product at the highest level, right? I think this is the quickest way to go. I do not believe the changing of a CEO or removing of some members of the board can fix the problems of the Spice Mass Corporation. I do not believe that, and that is a fundamental thing I have, and I will stick by that, because I have seen the body change. I have seen the things get swept under the counter. A new CEO come in and is everything that was the problems the last year just get wiped on the counter, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So right now, I mean, we don't know. I don't like to deal with rumors, but there's a lot of talk going around where funding has not even arrived at the present Spice Mass from particular sponsors, because they want their accountability first, right? And I'm saying, and I support that. I support that 100%. If you cannot provide me the accountability, why should I be giving you my money? Yeah. Bottom line, provide me the accountability and be accountable for that accountability. If you are going to be the board, if you're going to get paid, and that's another thing. That is another thing. If chosen maybe the way we have to fix this problem with some of the people that we choose to do these positions is no longer, I always believe that you pay people for the work they have done. But maybe in the case of Carnival, we need to stop paying CEOs and chair people $5,000 a month salaries to go there and come up showing a massive financial loss at the end of Carnival. That ain't making no sense to me. That's not making no sense. If you can't turn this product into making money, you're coming like the CEOs of Clico across there who I ended up the beginning, made massive salaries and the people on the ground have nothing. Right? I can't support that. If you're going to do a job and you're going to get paid a salary, make that salary based, and I bet you we will see a massive improvement in the product if that salary is based on your profits of your festival. I bet you all of a sudden you're going to see everything run properly. Right? And maybe that's what's needed too in whatever organization gets the mandate for Carnival.
I think too what could work as well is people like yourself in the stakeholders of MAS. Rather, we have all these, you have Calypsonians have their own association, MAS have their own association, maybe one entire body that PAN is represented, MAS is represented, Fancy MAS is represented, and a collective inclusion is made to select that CEO for Spice Mass, because at the end of the day, it doesn't just affect your office, but the stakeholders like yourself, the Fancy Mass, the Calypsonians, the soca artists. And if everybody comes to a common consensus that, okay, we think Bobby Steele is the person to represent the product, then I think everything should be better rather than who makes the selection. But you wake up one morning and say, oh, we just hired a new CEO.
Yeah.
And nobody knows where they dropped from.
Well, I mean, you know, you've alluded to a very good point there. For instance, each of those organizations are represented by private lawyers, things. Well, if you had it all in under one body, your cost or wrong to that body, to individuals, will also come down. Your membership and your ability to draw on many things, many aspects could reduce costs to your organization from the collective power of everybody involved. However, it will face its challenges because, again, for whatever reason, politics has been the destroyer. Politics has been the behind the scenes destroyer of what culture can be. Because if they believe this one is politically attached to that party, right, then it's no, I don't want to vote for it. Not that you can't do the job, you can do the job. But I can't let you do the job, because if you do the job, then it looking under, especially I say, want to bracket me. Right? I'm an NMP. Right? I am telling you point blank right here today that let somebody come and show me if I have a card or if I belong to any political party. They can't. Okay? But if the impression is Bobby Steele has spoken out for NMP, which I have done, but I have also spoken on the good things within the NEC that were done by members of NEC, but they're blind to that. They're blind to it because in their minds, this is what they see me as, right? So I will take their branding, let them sit down there and I continue to say, the results of what we deliver speak to ourselves, speak to the work that we can do. And I am not speaking for Bobby here, because I guarantee you, if Bobby was to be selected to be involved in running Grenada's Carnival, and the status quo was to remain the same, I will very easily, even though the salary is $5,000, I can accept the salary, just jump in and take a $5,000 a month. I will turn it down. Right? I will not take on something that I could not deliver just for the sake of money. Right? I have proven this a million times in my past, in jobs that have been offered to me. I do not take on something for money. I have to take on because I feel the passion to deliver it and believe in my heart I can deliver it. I believe Spice Mass is deliverable as a winning, properly organized festival. But I believe in order for that to happen, certain things must happen first, right? The funding must be in place first. The organization and the legislation must be in place first, and then give the committee that needs to do once they have these powers in their hand that they can run with to deliver the product, then I believe it is very easy to do once you have the right people in place to deliver it, from your media, from your graphics, from your printing, from your marketing, from your actual workers on the street. They must be motivated to work. They must know that when we deliver this, we are all collectively going to deliver the most amazing product that Grenada has ever seen. No. Can the present SMC bring that within anybody they bring out to work for them? No. No. Their reputation is already spoiled. It's done. They cannot come back from that. Okay? So let us go somewhere new. Let us try a new approach. And it begins by accepting failure. You see, if you can't accept the failure, right? If you want to put the blame for the failure everywhere else, besides saying, I personally am responsible for what occurred here, right? How can you fix it? You will never fix it. And this is what I'm saying. The government of the day must accept and say, this was a failure. Let us fix it. Now, once they can come to that, once they can open up and be responsible enough as a government to the people, right? My scare of it all is that the success of the sheer numbers that came into Grenada this year is going to hide all of the mistakes and things that were made and all of the disorganization that is really occurring by the sheer numbers. Because if you speak to the sheer numbers, if they go on the radio and SMC say this was a successful year, taxi drivers make our money, hoteliers make our money, airline people make our money, vendors make our money, can they be denied? Because that was a success to all of them. All of them had a success there. But was that a success to our country? Was that a success in the delivery of the product? Did we maximize? What we have now is an even worse situation for the government to be facing next year in terms of product. Right? And it keeps going on. It's a cycle. It keeps going on because I believe in my heart that this minister wants to change. And I will support her. I will be behind. I will make sure and lend support to every angle of change that is in the right angle, right direction. I will not support any wrongdoings or taking us back or the continuation of the same, right, without being vocal about it, because I am not anti-government. I'm pro-country. And to be pro-country, you have to be able to risk your voice being heard. Okay, I have gone on radio, on programs, and basically I did not like the motto, the theme for 2014. I was very vocal about it. They changed it, right? But they didn't change it from Bobby. They changed it by one person maybe getting up on the radio and talking, but everybody else joining in and talking, and because they would have never changed that just for one voice. But I believe that this is the way we must approach these things. And I also believe that everybody that is in a position to talk, is in a position to let their voices be heard, must not be silenced because of what they think they might be perceived as politically. If boy, maybe you ain't gonna get no position here because look what you spoke against the government. No, I speak against the government in this particular stance with the hope that they can fix it. Right? I'm not speaking against the government to bring enemies to it. This is not a personal thing. I have nothing against anybody. I want to make sure that we fix the problem. And if we can't speak it, if we can't talk it, how we gonna fix it?
That's true. All right. A lot of food for thought. We've just been reflecting on Spice Mass 2015. But we want to say a very special thank you for coming. And for those of you who joined us a little bit late, we've been talking to Bobby Steele, a very familiar name in Grenada when it comes to Spice Mass and entertainment and the whole works. And we've just been dissecting some of the challenges from the SMC standpoint or even the organizational structure for Spice Mass 2015, and hoping in 2016 it can work and it could be to the better of all of us. Bobby, once again, thank you for joining us, and hope you do not become a stranger to Rush TV.
It was great being in studio, and I really do hope that I commend this program for what it is. I commend the work. I love to see new media houses coming up in Grenada, especially online media. I think that is a very, very important area to head into, right? So I want to wish you and your company all the best. And I most certainly will be here anytime you all would like to talk again further on these issues or anything else that I can relate to.
Thank you so much.
All right.